The slap echoed through the packed cafeteria like a gunshot. Grace Sullivan stood perfectly still, her left cheek burning red, but her eyes remained eerily cold as she stared directly at Preston Blackwood. Instead of crying or running away like every other victim before her, she glanced at her watch and whispered something that made Preston's smirk falter. 3 more minutes, she said, her voice unnaturally calm. 3 more minutes, and I'll have everything I need. 200 students froze in place, phones raised to record the spectacle. But none of them caught Grace's next whisper into the tiny microphone hidden in her collar. Phoenix to Cardinal. Target has taken the bait. Prepare for breach in T-10. Preston laughed mockingly, completely unaware that within 10 minutes he would be the one crying. And not just from pain. Before we dive deeper into this shocking story of hidden identities and dark secrets lurking beneath an elite school's polished surface, take a moment to hit that subscribe button if stories of justice and unexpected twists keep you on the edge of your seat. Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts on bullying in schools, because what you're about to witness goes far beyond typical teenage cruelty. Your support helps us bring more of these powerful stories to light. And trust me, this one will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the quiet girl in the corner. Ridgemont Academy stood as Connecticut's most prestigious private school, where $90,000 in annual tuition bought much more than just education. 3 weeks ago, Grace Sullivan had appeared as a transfer student on a full scholarship. Her backstory was flawless. Parents killed in a car accident, living with an elderly aunt, maintaining a perfect 4.0 GPA from a public school in Kansas, but every word of it was carefully crafted fiction. Preston Blackwood, 18 years old and heir to the Blackwood Industries empire, ruled Ridgemont like his personal kingdom alongside his crew, the Elite Eight. These untouchable children of privilege operated above consequences. Their parents' wealth serving as an impenetrable shield against any form of accountability. Students whispered about Preston's Friday night club, where lavish parties took place in secluded mansions, the same parties that Melissa Chen, Jennifer Park, and Ashley Rivera had attended before they vanished without a trace. Grace noticed the small detail that morning. Preston wore a silver ring engraved with an unusual symbol, a serpent wrapped around a key. The exact same symbol she'd discovered in Melissa Chen's room during her preliminary investigation, hidden in a jewelry box beneath seemingly innocent friendship bracelets. In class earlier that day, Grace had taken notes with a tactical titanium pen, definitely not standard student equipment. She'd positioned herself in the far corner, back against the wall, with clear sightlines to both exits and every student in the room. Her sneakers showed a specific wear pattern at the heel, the kind developed through years of tactical running drills, not casual jogging. When Preston and his crew had cornered her in the hallway between second and third period, Grace hadn't flinched. Her breathing remained steady, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, a stress management technique taught to Special Forces operators. She counted their footsteps without looking, mapping each person's position through sound alone. "Scholarship girl," Preston had sneered, his breath smelling of expensive coffee and entitlement. "Heard you're from Kansas. First time seeing real money?" Grace had ducked her head, playing the perfect victim. But her fingers tapped against her thigh in a subtle pattern that anyone trained in Morse code would recognize. SOSPB, subjects on site, Preston Blackwood. "Actually," Grace had said quietly, keeping her voice deliberately meek, "Blackwood Industries has an interesting history. Company founded in 2003, but your tax records show a gap from 2019 to 2021. Coincidentally, matching when the first 3 girls disappeared from your previous school, right? Preston had frozen completely, his confident posture cracking for just a moment. This wasn't information any Kansas scholarship student should possess. "What did you just say?" His voice had turned ice cold, all pretense of casual bullying evaporating. "Oh, I'm just working on my economics homework," Grace had backpedaled, clutching her books tighter. "I should go." But when she'd turned to leave, Preston had grabbed her wrist. In that brief moment of skin contact, she'd felt something telling. Calluses on his thumb and index finger, the specific kind that came from repeatedly using zip ties. The kind used to restrain people. Grace's phone had buzzed with a text from a blocked number. "Package confirmed. East Building Basement. Need extraction ASAP." The 3 missing girls might still be alive, and they were somewhere on this very campus. Now, standing in the cafeteria after Preston's public assault, Grace watched him circle her like a predator who didn't realize he'd already become prey. The Elite 8 formed a loose perimeter, cutting off escape routes while ensuring maximum visibility for their leader's performance. Ryan, Preston's second-in-command, live-streamed everything on Instagram with the title "Humiliating Kansas Girl." "Listen carefully, Kansas," Preston said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "This school has its own laws, and the first law is knowing your place." "Interesting you mention laws," Grace replied, finally allowing steel to enter her voice. "Do you know what the federal sentence is for interstate kidnapping? 25 to life, especially when the victims are under 18. The words detonated like a bomb in the silent cafeteria. Ryan's phone shook in his hand, the live stream capturing his shocked expression. "Is she talking about—" "Shut up," Preston roared, his face flushing red, but Grace wasn't finished. She pulled out her phone, fingers flying across the screen with practiced efficiency. Within 30 seconds, Ryan's live stream cut out, replaced by screenshots of encrypted messages between Preston and an unknown contact. "New shipment, ready Friday. Usual pickup point." "How did you—" Preston lunged forward, snatching her phone, but the damage was done. Someone had already screen-recorded everything. Grace employed a military-grade security application on her device, not the typical apps teenagers downloaded from regular stores. This government-level encryption software enabled legally admissible audio recording with timestamp verification, blockchain data encryption, and forensic recovery capabilities that law enforcement agencies relied upon. Every threat, every assault was being documented in a format acceptable in federal court. The technology transformed an ordinary smartphone into a sophisticated investigation tool capable of penetrating civilian networks while maintaining chain of custody for evidence. Preston's frustration boiled over. He slammed his hand down on Grace's lunch tray, sending chocolate milk cascading across her clothes. The entire cafeteria held its breath, waiting for tears, for her to break like every other victim before her. Instead, Grace calmly checked her watch again. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. 2 minutes until what? Preston snarled, trying to regain control of the situation. Until my team moves in, Grace said, wiping milk from her face with unsettling composure. You just assaulted a federal witness. Congratulations on adding another 5 years to your sentence. You think you're what? Preston grabbed Grace's collar, lifting her slightly off her feet. FBI? CIA? You're just a pathetic charity case playing dress-up. Close, Grace whispered, her breath steady despite the physical threat. Multi-agency task force on human trafficking. And Preston? We already found the basement. The color drained from Preston's face like someone had pulled a plug. His hands trembled as he released her, taking an involuntary step backward. Around them, students began to murmur, phones capturing every second of his unraveling composure. Panicking, Preston drew his hand back to slap Grace again, putting his full weight behind the blow. But this time, she caught his wrist in midair with a fluid motion that spoke of years of training.